Okay, and hello, and welcome to the fifth FIFA franchise online, Commish's Corner. I'm your host, as always, Jlizzle for Shizzle, and this is the first podcast after Transfer Deadline Day, or TDD. Boy, wow. First of all, thank you to everybody who participated. It was a wild 30 hours for me. I'm sure it was a wild, long day for you guys as well. Lots and lots of players coming in and out, and even uh, leading up to transfer deadline day, we had the Wild West, we had releases, we had lots of things happening that week. And as you can read later on today, after this podcast drops, there will be a very, very nice article written by Package about transfer deadline day. Please give that a read once it's up. It is a very, very good article, probably the best one out right now. I encourage you all to get in as many articles as you can, at least once a month, and I will pay you guys out per article. Just because I love having content made for the site by members of the site. I think it brings everybody together. We can all kind of relate to the topics being talked about, and all in all, it just kind of makes our community even stronger and even better. And as you guys know, that is my biggest driving force, is really supporting each other and growing this community one member at a time. So without further ado, as you can see here on my screen, right now I am looking at a little bit of the revamped FFO Season 2 spreadsheet. Now, I was making one for Season 3, which had a lot of the same things we see here, but it was very difficult for me to keep the flags in the same area with everything else without them moving. It was very difficult and really painstaking. If I had switched a player, it would take me even double the time to fix the flags, reorder the flags. It was just really a pain in the butt. So this maybe doesn't look quite as cool, but it still kind of gives the same overall aesthetic and appeal to what I was trying to do there. So yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. We have the player faces, and it's switched to player profile. So we have Brad Guzan's face, name, and country. Obviously, as we can see here on the right, the star and 50% off things have been replaced by CON. And I mentioned this earlier in a previous podcast about contracts becoming available in the seasons ahead. And now we can see that they will become available in Season 3. We can also look up here on the player profile, not to really jump around, but we can see the manager's name, star player, young star, and seasons with the club. So right now we're looking at OG. This is his second season with Atlanta United, and a very good member to have in the community. And I think this looks fucking cool, man. I won't even lie. I think this is pretty cool how it's spread out through, and even down here. Now, as you can see here, we have expired contracts. So if this was to be this season, and we were gonna do these contracts, which is not because they haven't started yet. OG would have 6 contracts that are expiring, and he would have to re-sign those players. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, let's talk about the length of the contracts and what it all means. Now, I had a good question from Saul earlier today about could you please explain about the contract length and if there was a set formula. And yes, there is. I also mentioned to him in the general chat today that this will be a process. Now, as you guys know, from season 1 to season 2.5, where we are now, everything has kind of grown from basic A to B to probably C in the evolution of FIFA Franchise Online with what we're doing. Season 1, obviously, we had, for example, Season 1, we had the salaries pretty much how they are. Season 2, we had a little bit more intricate thing to it with the under 21 stud potential tax. And that has seen a big shift in the market, which was the plan all along. And it's really kind of balanced out the teams a lot, and I think it's been working really, really good. So now, same same effect, I guess you could say, with the contracts. Excuse me, is what I really want to do is start something very basic. So, for example, players who are 16 to 23 years old, they all can have 3-year contracts. Very simple, very, very simple. 16 to 23, 3-year deals maximum. 3-year deals, they all get 3 years. Everybody gets 3 years. 24 to 30 years old, 2 years. 2-year maximum deal, they get the 2 years. 32 and up, sorry, it would be 31 and up then, sorry. 31 years old and up would get a 1-year deal. And yeah, that is basically how we look at it here on our ages and value from 32 years on up. You get a 50% reduction in your salary. So kind of matching on with that very closely, we have a maximum of 1-year deals there. So that's why you can see Brad Guzan, who is over obviously 31. Right now I have it as 32, so maybe I will switch that from 21. Yeah, I guess 21 to 30 would have to be that, then 31 plus would be 1 year. So yeah, that will change to 31, but in the meantime, it is what it is here. That's what you can see here too. 28 years old would be in the 2 bracket, and then 22 years old would be here in the 3-year bracket. Now, to resign the players, what you would need to do is, I haven't worked out a formula quite yet, so this is very, very early stages, but the formula would be the players' overall plus the value plus the years that you will be extending him. So, for example, if you have a 3-year deal for Palestri and say he doesn't change at all, he's still the same for 3 years, that price would be the same there. But if he goes up or goes down, whatever it is, it would be adjusted value based on his overall and value in the market at that time. Okay, eventually, what I want to get into is something a lot more intricate, would be player value. So say, for example, let's see, Macias. Macias right now has a 3-year maximum contract, and he is, I guess, kind of your really, really star player, and he's kind of doing big things for you. You'll be able to sign him possibly to a longer deal, or he is been with your club for 3 seasons and his contract runs out. Actually, I have it set to 5 seasons in my notebook here. So it would be, say for example, you have Macias for 5 seasons and his contract runs up. Not his contract runs up, but his contract's going to come to an end. After that, you get a homegrown discount or a hometown discount because he has been with your team for so long. You will get a reduction in the rates to re-sign that player. But don't let me get ahead of myself here. I do apologize. The one thing I will say is that there will be one more feature added to the contract rules, which would be, right now, again, for example, let me use a star player. So Sessegnon here has a maximum 3-year contract. However, because he is a star player, and now, again, there has to be a plus and minus to this, because he is a star player, he will be eligible to have a 4th year added on to his deal. So you can keep this player for 4 years right here without having to re-sign him. However, If you choose to do that, this star player cannot change for 4 seasons. That's correct. If you want an extra year with this player without having to re-sign him, he must remain your star player for all 4 seasons. But Jlizzle, what if I trade him? What if I get rid of him? Well then, uh, those will come at a later date. But if you do trade a player with certain years left on his contract, you will receive a penalty for doing so. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now, because that will be a little bit later. But again, very, very key basics. Age-wise, 16 to 23, 3 seasons. 24 to 30, or sorry, 31, would be, what you call it, 2 years. And then 32 and up would be 1 year. I know I switched it around earlier and I said 31 up would be 1 year, but I'm going to make that 32 and up would have to be 1 year just to match it with the spreadsheet how it is now. Okay, hope you guys got all of that. Hope you guys got all of that. Okay, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about positions and where we are as a team. Now, I mentioned it earlier in a previous podcast about position changes, and I kind of showed you guys on the FFO3 spreadsheet about having AMF, so attacking midfield, which would be left attacking mid, so Lamb, Cam, and Ram. Now, those will still be added, and I will be adding them. You will see these positions added in the coming days, and don't worry about it. It doesn't mean that we're going to implement it right now. It just means that I'm getting a head start, so you guys can kind of see where your players are at and where they are going in Season 3. Now remember, these things are very, very fluid. So right now, if your player loses a position, it doesn't mean that his position is going to be gone forever. It just depends on what he does in real life. And I've spoken to some of you about this, and some of you know that I'm actually using a very high-tech paid scouting program where it's not one of these free ones where you can hop on and just check it out. It's very, very in-depth and very, very detailed, kind of expensive. But because I do want to get everything right and realistic, I'm going with all of that. It actually shows me. I don't want to show you guys what it is or anything, because if I upload it to YouTube and I don't have I don't know about permissions or whatever it is. But I will tell you that it does track everybody's position if it changes throughout the game. Most stat sites will just show you how the team lines up from kickoff, and even then it can be wrong. And this site, not this site, this app, I guess, this program really shows you throughout the game. So, for example, if your team starts in a 4-3-3, and then in minute 50 to minute 75 they change to a 4-2-3-1, it shows all of that and where your players went in those positions, and how long they played the position. So at the end of the day, your player positions will be based on the minutes played at that position. So I'm pretty sure that I'm not set on a number yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to have to be either 35 or 40% played at that position, minutes played at that position, to be able to play that position in Season 3. And you can kind of see how that's going to work in the coming days. I will be more than happy to kind of update you guys on that as it comes out. That's a lot of information. I do apologize. But yeah, that's where we're at with that for now. Okay, a couple other things I wanted to speak on was... There we go. Stats and standings, where we're at for promotion and relegation. Yes, this is a thing. I mentioned it before. MLS, USL. Now again, the USL does not mean you're going to be playing with USL only teams. All right, it's going to be rebranded. USL will just mean the second tier or a championship, whatever you want to call it. You'll still have your academy team separate. Don't worry, that's not going to be the case. But there are some things I would like to discuss. So, on the stats and standings here, which are updated until now, all the teams that have completed the game. I think there's maybe one game missing I haven't done yet. Possibly. Let me check. Um, One game. Wait, no, I think I did all of them. Yeah, it is up to date. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so it is up to date um, as we speak right now, as all the games have happened. So right now, if you look at the New York Red Bulls, they are clear by 8 points in the Eastern Conference, 24 games played. Orlando and Cincinnati, kind of far behind, but not too far behind. And then we have Atlanta United, which kind of starts to the gap starts to widen a bit. And then New York Revolution. Now, if you look on the the left-hand side, you have the green, which means the conference champion. You'll have the pink, which means up until here, these teams all make the playoffs. And then you have a yellow one here, which is the last spot to stay in the MLS. The last spot to stay in the MLS. Right. Now, everything else in the red here for the Eastern Conference, all of these teams, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, you would go down to the USL for Season 3. Very, very tight here, with Toronto only having 10 games and only being about 4 games here and about 7 points adrift of 5th place. Could be a very, very tight affair here in the Eastern Conference. So as it looks right now, if the season ended today, it would be Red Bulls, Orlando, Cincy, Atlanta, and New England staying up. Union, Toronto, Montreal, NYCFC, Columbus Crew, and Chicago Fire going down to the USL. Now, I'll talk about going down here in a second, but let's check out the Western Conference. Western Conference, the big bad West, as we saw last season, is a very, very different beast to the East. I'm a poet and didn't know it. So we have here Colorado Rapids. He went all the way into the finals last season, but lost out to New York Red Bulls. So we have Rapids in first place. Earthquakes not too far behind, with Vancouver on his tails as well. Now, rounding out the top 5 would be the Sounders, Galaxy, and LAFC. Now, look at these points here. 37, 36, 36. So right now, if the season ended today, it would be the Rapids, Quakes, Whitecaps, Sounders, and then look, we have Galaxy and LAFC. Now, all of this stuff here, none of this crap matters. Only thing that matters here to me and the league are these points here, 36 and 36. I don't care about goal difference because the goal difference is whack anyway because LAFC switched keepers and it just looks a bit outrageous. So, anyways, they would have a one-game, take it or leave it playoff. That's right, all or nothing, millions on the line, playoff. The most important playoff they've ever had in their life if the season ended today, and this is how it was. Now, if it's not like that, then we also have these bottom 3 teams going down, LAFC, Dallas, and Real Salt Lake. These teams would be the teams to go down in the USL. Got it? Grady? Good. All right. So that's kind of how it works there from promotion to relegation. However, relegation teams, listen up. If you get relegated, how it is in real life, I mentioned this before again in a previous podcast. Your salary cap number will go down. And by going down, I mean it will go down to 4 million. 4 million. It could go up to a little bit more based on the number of the salary cap for MLS. It'll always be a million less. So if say MLS goes up to 5.2, 5.3, which I'm not quite sure how far it's going to go up because things are going really, really good, I think, with the number wise, how we are. It will go up slightly, but not very much. So whatever that is, it'll be probably a million less than MLS. So that is something to consider. Plus side to that would be the, and I talked about this earlier in a party with Package and Pita, was that when you get relegated, those kind of in between players right now, maybe they're not good enough for an MLS team, or they're on the bench, or they're not getting enough minutes. Those might be the players that a USL team will kind of go after because that they're good enough for them, and the cap number will be a lot lower than going out and getting a star. Now, don't worry, USL teams, you will still have star. All that stuff will still be available to you. There's nothing wrong with that. You won't be losing your stars. You still have your stars, but the salary cap will be lower, so you might be forced to sell a star to just because, and that's how it is in real life. You lose, you go down division, you lose some of your best players. You get poached. However, the loan system will be slightly revamped. And I like the way it is now, but it might be slightly revamped to maybe add one more slot, so you'll have three slots for loans instead of two. However, I don't think loans are being used. I mean, they're being used, but I don't think they're being used in the manner right now where it would require an extra slot. So it might just keep it like that for season two, just two slots, and then we can see how it works from there. But yeah, I guess that's all it really is for the captain's corner. Captain's, I always say captain's corner. Commish's corner. Things coming up this week: scouting. Tomorrow, tonight is the deadline. Get it into the scout. 5 million for the bronze scout. Tomorrow will be free agent Friday, but there won't be any players. There will be something very special regarding scouting to help your scout get a little bit more specific on who he wants, or who you want. Sorry, that's all I'll say about that. So look forward to that tomorrow. Tomorrow as well, Friday night, will be week 4. Sorry, 5, 4 for the yeah. I can't even remember. Week 4, I was correct. Week 4 for pro clubs. Then we have MLS fixture deadline here, Pacific time, 11:59. Saturday we have new MLS Week 13 release, and everybody's favorite community event, the FIFA Golden Goal Tournament. First goal wins, 2 million for joining, plus bonuses throughout the event. It should be a very, very quick event. We always just say that, but then there's that one or two people who take forever just to score one goal. But yeah, easy money just for being a part of the site. If you guys haven't gotten in touch with Pita or Bard, I think they are running an NFL fantasy league for FFO. So if you guys can get in touch with either of them, they would definitely appreciate it. So go ahead and hit them up in the DMs if you are interested in signing up for the FFO Fantasy Football League. That's all it is for me from now. I love you guys, and I will catch you guys soon. Again, cheers for Transfer Deadline Day. Be on the lookout for Package's article, and make sure you guys check out the calendar and make sure everything is easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, guys. See you next time.